Regents problem with a box plot, also known as a box and whisker plot. I'm going to use this one question to go over everything that we discussed with box plots, okay? So I'm not just going to answer this question, I'm going to extend it a little bit further. The box and whisker plot below represents the results of test scores in a math class. What do the scores 65, 85, and 100 represent? Okay, so starting with 65. Let's see if I can get my pen to work. 65. I see 65 in my number line right here. Okay, that represents the first quartile. Okay, this section up until the box. Okay, that line shouldn't extend into the box. Up until the box represents the first quarter of the data. So when we hit the beginning of the box, that's the cutoff of the first quarter. We call that the first quartile. Okay, so 65 is the first quartile. Next, 85. 85 is over here at the end of the box. Okay, that's the third quartile. Okay, so the box and whisker plot is divided into fourths. So this represents the first fourth, the first lowest quarter of the scores in the class. This first half of the box represents the next quarter of the scores. This part represents the next quarter. So when we hit this line, we've been through 3/4 of the data. So that line, 85, is called the third quartile. Okay, and then after that box, that's our last quarter, the highest 25% of the scores in the class. So what does this number 100 represent? Well, that's at the end of this line of the box and whisker plot. So that is the highest score. So the highest number we would say is the maximum. That was the maximum or the highest number in the set of data. Now there are a few other important numbers here. Okay, the number 20 is also important. The number 72 is also important. And then the other thing would be to talk about the range. Okay, so what's the number 20? 20, if you notice, is the beginning of the set of data. So that is the smallest number in the set. We call that the minimum. Minimum value, lowest score on this test was 20. 72, if you notice over here, right, it's right past 70. That's right in the middle, because I told you that this is the first quarter of the scores, this is the next quarter, this is the next quarter, this is the next quarter. So this is halfway through, and we call that the median. Okay, so 72 is the median. Lastly, we have the range. The range is how far apart are the minimum and the maximum, right? Like how many numbers are there across like the whole range of the set of data? Well, it goes from 20 to 100. 20 to 100 is 80, right? You could do 100 minus 20, get 80 is a difference from 20 to 100. Think 20 plus 80 equals 100. So that means that the range is 80, okay? The other thing we talk about is the percentages. So we would say 50% of scores are less than 72 because 72 is right here in the middle. Half the scores are less than that. So 50% of the scores are less than 72. 50% of the scores are higher than 72, okay? We would say, let's see, the lowest quarter is below that 65, right? So about 25% of students scored below a 65. 25% of students scored in the highest quarter, so 25% scored higher than 85. Okay, so that's a basic overview of how we work with the percentages. If you have any more questions, feel free to email me and I will be happy to help.